Hi, I'm Paul Friedman. I'm the founder of the Marriage Foundation, and this topic is pretty interesting for men. And it's what to do when your wife spends too much money. So this can really be a problem. I'm not going to minimize this in any way, shape, or form, and I'm not going to give you mundane advice like create a budget, because it'll be seen as an imposition. In fact, it's much easier for me to tell you what not to do than what to do. Even though you want to know what to do, it's not fair if I just tell you what to do without what not to do. Did that get it? Almost sounds like an Abbott and Costello routine. So what not to do, and the reason why not to do this is simple. It won't do any good. You can't confront her. She'll see it as an attack. You can't request her nicely. She'll see it as an attack. And you can understand why. You can't lecture her. You can't explain it to her. None of that will work, because it'll be condescending. She'll see it that way. She'll see you as trying to be the boss over her or whatever. Basically, what you're up against is her free will is telling her, I could do whatever I want. And I'm going to go further. If your marriage was really, really working, she would care. So you got to be realistic about this and understand that there's an underlying problem. Now, first I'm going to tell you what you might try, but it may not work also. And then I'm going to tell you what will work, but it's far more extensive than a simple answer. So you could try explaining to her, not that she's spending too much money, but explaining to her, or sharing with her might be a better way of putting that, wow, it looks like we're going to have a really rough month this month. Or, wow, I wanted to get us a new car, but. And in other words, don't make it her fault. And when she says, I know it's my fault, and you're just telling me da 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 da, then you say, well, I am not saying that because I want you to have all that you want. I'm just letting you know what's going on. We may have to put off our vacation. And so you put it as objectively as you can. Now, it's going to be hard for you to do that because you're not an expert in communication, and you're going to be reactive when she's reactive because she's going to be reactive. She's going to be reactive. You're telling someone, don't do something. How does that work? It doesn't even work with kids. It just doesn't work. Now, what does work is revamping your whole marriage. Turning your marriage into what it was supposed to be in the first place. You see, we don't get married knowing what marriage is. You don't even know why people get married. You may say, well, because they fall in love with someone. Well, so what? You can fall in love with someone, that doesn't mean you have to marry them. Why do we marry people? And this is sort of primal, but on the level of the soul. You see, primal means we eat because we have to survive. We breathe because we have to survive. Understanding the body's requirements and how the mind interprets it, that's pretty easy. But we're not exposed to ourselves as souls. We're not taught this. But you are. You're a soul. You have a body and you have a mind, but essentially you're a soul. And the soul also has basic needs. And needs may be the wrong word because it's much bigger than that. But the nature of the soul is joy and love and consciousness. And so it wants to gravitate towards those things. And when we get married, it's because our soul is yearning for love and joy. And so what happens is we marry someone because our mind is telling us we can get it from someone else. And ultimately we cannot. Now, if you could, you wouldn't be able to receive it. Because the mind, again, it's driven by the drive to survive almost primarily. And so it filters anything that it considers dangerous or suspect. And that's why even people who have experiences of God, even in the Bible, people have experiences of God and yet they resist because the mind gets in the way. And so being married means having to learn how to master your mind. That's number one requirement. And the second requirement is learning sort of the rules of the road of marriage. For instance, what I was talking about before, where you can't confront, you can't discipline, you can't chastise, you can't take a position with your wife that's going to cause a reaction or it messes up the day. And the day is all about love and joy. So consider learning more about marriage. Subscribe to this channel. You'll learn so much more about marriage. I'm sure you've learned things already that you never considered before. So subscribe to the channel, make me feel good. And maybe get books if you'd like. We have a couple of books and we have courses, but we're getting close to 40,000 subscribers because people are starting to see marriage. There's teachings to marriage, and we at the Marriage Foundation own that. We do. We don't have a trademark, but we're the only ones who recognize marriage for what it is. So again, I'm Paul Friedman. I founded the Marriage Foundation. By the way, if you want to become a TMF marriage counselor, and that's all we do is marriage. We don't do grief therapy and anything like that. And if you have any interest, go to our website and take a look, because we want to get more TMF marriage counselors on the ground. So thank you for joining me. God bless you. Hope to see you again, and take care. Thank you.